Welcome, everybody. I hope you've gotten in and gotten settled. I hear it. There's a superb owl happening today. So happy Sunday. It's a special Sunday for us here with Church in the Wild as we have a guest speaker. Sylvan is here to talk about Beloved King. I want to say it's the first ever queer Bible musical, but maybe they have some other information for us. So we're going to jump in to checking in with ourselves and each other. Share in the chat window, where you're joining us from and how your week has been on a scale of 1 to 10. It's a good way to, like I said, check in with yourself and share. You can offer an explanation for the number you pick or simply put the number, and that's fine. So as we do that and move towards a worshipful space, I just want to remind everybody that we will be returning to Skylake in just a month. So we have 2 more Zoom worships in February, and then the first 2 Sundays of March will be on Zoom, and then we will return on the first day of spring to Skylake. So mark that in your calendars. Be prepared. We'll be sad that all of our Zooming friends will not be able to join us in Skylake, but maybe at some point during these warmer months, you might find yourself in upstate New York and can come out on a Sunday. But either way, we'll continue our monthly Zoom meditation on the new moon of every month, and there'll be lots of ways to stay connected. So I know all of us locally are really looking forward to the spring return, and hopefully all of our Zoom friends can still join us for stuff. So usually we start out with a poem to center ourselves. I'm going to stop sharing just for a second. But since we are hearing about a musical, we're going to get some extra music. So we have one of the first songs, and Jay wanted to introduce it. So I will turn it over to you, Jay.
Thank you, Corey. Hello, everyone. It is so nice to see you all. I spent some time in Western New York a lot during especially the first few lockdowns of the pandemic. My wife's family is from the outside of Buffalo. And when we were living in a 700 square foot apartment, we would often go up to spend time in the larger house with much more space around. So I have a real soft spot for upstate and Western New York. So Beloved King is a queer Bible musical, and it was my thesis project for my Master of Divinity at Harvard Divinity School. And it is a full-length musical. There's about 21 songs in total, but we released an EP of 6 of the songs just this past November. And that I was fortunate enough to get a grant from the Boston Foundation in order to do that. So you can hear that on Spotify, but I'm going to play it for you on a video. And this song is my favorite. It was the first song that I wrote for the show. It's called Adoni, which, if you know your Hebrew, means my Lord. And it tells the story of the whole show is about King David and his relationship with Prince Jonathan and Jonathan's father Saul. And Adoni is the moment when Jonathan first sees David after David has just killed Goliath. Sorry, spoilers. And Jonathan falls in love with David. And it says the soul of Jonathan is bound up in the soul of David, and he loved him as himself. And he takes off all of his armor and all of his swords and all of his tunic, and he gives it all to David. So of course I was like, I need to write a gay burlesque musical about this. And this is what you're about to hear. So this is Adoni.
I've never seen anyone take up and wield a stone that then took down a giant, standing near naked without a shield, yet so absolutely defiant. Here, take my cloak. You have to be cold. Have you borne the blade of a man? I'd be glad, honored, that is, if you'd hold my armor and sword in your hand. Here's my bow, Adoni. Here's my tent. Come with me, Adeni. I cannot say no to you. You are my Lord. Whatever you wish, I will do. If you don't want to, that's not what I said. I leave the decision to you. Alone you defeated a great enemy that no one among us could kill. If anything, I should be bending my knee and begging for whims of your will. Stand up, please. You look good from down here. Adoni. I mean, my cloak, it suits you. I'm no Lord. Well, how should we, Adoni? I'll carry your cloak, your sword and your shield. Now take off your tunic and belt. I'll give you my everything, nothing concealed. Now lie on the place where you knelt. Love can't help us really. It won't stop these wars. I'm not here for easy. I think that my soul could get bound up with yours, and maybe between us some peace. Go slowly, Adoni. Now show me what's holy.
I will say, if you would like to see a music video of that with PG-13 stripping and making out, you can do so on YouTube, and I will give you the link if you're interested.
Thank you so much. The video, I have watched it. It is so good. And it makes me realize like how uncomfortable sexiness and Bible can feel at first, like no matter, who's being sexy, but like I remember studying Song of Songs as well in seminary and just everyone feeling super weird, but it's in there and it's beautiful and it's amazing. And the video really puts it over the top. So definitely check it out. And now, I want to say, and now for something completely different. But is it really? Let's hear from Rich with our nature connection.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rich Hanlon. I'm your Wild Neighbors Nature Connection Nature Guide, tuning in to Church in the Wild today. And joining me is my mother, who came up from Pittsburgh. And,
Hi, guys.
Her name is Fran. So this is her first Church in the Wild experience. And thanks, everyone, for making it a good one so far. I prepared a video over a year. Oh, I think it was over. Maybe it was last year during the late spring, early summer. And in the small town of Athens, Pennsylvania, we have Merlin Falcons that breed here. When I was in Wellsboro, we had Merlin Falcons that bred there too. And so it seems like in these small towns scattered across north central Pennsylvania and northern tier Pennsylvania and southern tier New York, there are populations of Merlin Falcons. There are also populations of fish crows, which is a very interesting juxtaposition. Now, without further ado, I made this video and I hope this will reveal something to us about how nature's community can inspire us and gift us with resiliency, adaptability, and responsiveness to the pressures that we face in life. So I hope you enjoy. Ready, set, go.
I'm not sure.
Tori, if you would like for me to share it from my screen, I can.
You have it? Awesome.
I do. I have it up and ready to go as long as I'm able to share.
Sorry about that. Go for it.
No worries. All right, here we go. Sharing sound. Okay, and see if this works. Here we go. I found it. My name is Rich Hanlon. For this segment of My Wild Neighbors, I'm reporting from Athens, Pennsylvania to tell you a story about a small falcon and small towns like this one. Small town America is the final frontier. These are the adventures of the Merlin Falcon. Its mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no small falcon has gone before. This is precisely what Merlin Falcons have been up to since their populations rebounded following the banning of the pesticide DDT in 1972. Formerly known as a falcon of wild places, around the 1980s, people started noticing Merlin Falcons showing up more and more in parks, cemeteries, and other such places in small towns across its breeding range in the United States. In this short video, we'll explore how its relationships with two other bird species helped the resilient, resourceful, and highly adaptable Merlin Falcon to make a home among us. Merlin's relationship with crows stems from the fact that Merlin Falcons don't build their own nests. Instead, they lay eggs in appropriately sized nests that have been stolen or abandoned by other birds. The story of Merlins is kind of like the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. The nest of the bald eagle was too big. The nest of the blue jay was too small. The nest of the crow was just right. Now, I'm not sure whether to call crows friends or enemies to Merlins, because in truth, they can be both. So let's call them frenemies. A couple of years ago, I had the amazing opportunity to watch a month-long battle for a nest that crows built and Merlins were trying to steal. A family of crows built this nest and fledged 3 young from it last year. This year, the crows built a nest in a different location, and this one that's been abandoned by the crows is now being occupied by a pair of Merlins. its relationship with crows is one of the key factors that's allowed the resourceful Merlin to inhabit small towns across the United States. Merlin falcons tend to focus their hunting efforts on the single most abundant small bird in a given area. Different hunting strategies are needed for different songbird species, so if you're a Merlin falcon, it makes sense to get really good at hunting a single species. They're kind of perfectionists in this way. The most abundant small birds in many towns are house sparrows. This makes house sparrows the primary prey item for small town Merlins. The predator-prey relationship between Merlins and house sparrows is another key factor that allows the highly adaptable Merlin to inhabit the small towns that, prior to the 1980s, were, for the most part, an unexplored world. Here's a video clip from a recent nature outing I led of a Merlin falcon with a freshly caught house sparrow. Oh my gosh. Oh, he scratched his face again. He's done eating. Now he's cleaning his beak. That's kind of like brushing your teeth if you're a falcon.
Yeah.
I don't want to stop.
I've seen that before. We were at a zoo once, and there was like an eagle, and they caught a bird, and they came through, and we were watching it, and did that.
Yeah, what's that foot stomping about? Oh, he's got to clean his toes too.
Yeah.
He's got to brush his teeth, and he's got to clean his toes.
Well, if you eat with your toes, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like washing your hands, right?
Our resilient, resourceful, and highly adaptable falcon neighbors are likely here to stay. Perhaps they can inspire us to be resilient, resourceful, and highly adaptable people in the face of a world rapidly changing in so many ways. If they can do it, so can we. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. And Corey, thanks again for the opportunity to share.
Find it on Verbo.
Yeah, thanks, Rich.
Hi, my name is Rich Hamlin.
Now we're going to read from the Hebrew scriptures. I'm going to share my screen again so you can see it as I read it. From 1 Samuel 20, verses 30 through 42. This is a portion of the story of David and Jonathan. Saul, Jonathan's father, his anger burned against Jonathan, and he said to him, "You son of a perverse, rebellious woman, do you think I don't know that you are choosing the son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse lives on the earth, neither you nor your kingdom will be established. Now then, send men and bring him to me, for he is doomed to die." But Jonathan replied to his father Saul and said to him, "Why must he be put to death? What has he done?" Then Saul hurled his spear at him to strike and kill him. So Jonathan knew that his father had decided to put David to death. Then Jonathan got up from the table in the heat of anger and did not eat food on the second day of the new moon because he was worried about David since his father had insulted him. Now it came about in the morning that Jonathan went out to the field at the time agreed upon with David. David went up from the south side. Then he fell on his face to the ground and bowed 3 times. And they kissed each other and wept together until David wept immeasurably. Then Jonathan said to David, "Go in safety, since we have sworn to each other in the name of the Lord, saying the Lord will be between me and you, and between my seed and your seed forever." So David set out and went on his way, while Jonathan went into the city. Ooh, sorry. Did you want to introduce the next video?
Yeah. So what you just heard is portrayed in the musical as well, with actually a couple of songs. One of them is on the EP. The fight between Jonathan and Saul is a song called Shame. And so you can hear that right now on Spotify or wherever you hear your music. And then the tearful goodbye of David and Jonathan is a song called Covenant, which we haven't recorded yet, but they're both in the musical. And then, if you know the story, what happens is David goes into exile because Saul wants to kill him, and he goes down into the wilderness of Judah, and he gathers an army of misfits, basically. And what I like about this song is it really, for me, it's really the character of David discovering his own power. And it's based roughly on some Psalms, and just the portion of Samuel in which David is in the wilderness. So this is All the Broken.
All the broken, bumping promises fell at my feet. Brother, I was exposed and alone. Cast from comfort, dashed without a thing into the street. Desolation can turn hearts to stone. Everyone with a heavy heart, come with me. Failure's outcasts, you are welcome here. Great are your gifts, even if many don't see. Hallelujah, you will persevere. I can see you've loved and suffered, justice has betrayed. Kept you hungry, pushed you under, led you far astray. Many are your enemies, outnumbering the sand. Orphan debtors share my strength, it pours out in your hand. Quickly we'll become our nation's refuge, we've all fled similar sad situations, time to forge ahead. Under my lead eye, vow you will not die. Where are you, my Lord, my God? When will you comfort me? Exile withers my life to woe. You can judge me, anything you want I will be, zealous, angry, or docile and dull. Zealous burn out, the angry doubt, and the docile still bleed. You are with me, I feel it, I know. Exaltation, salvation, I have all that I need. What to do now, Lord, where do I go? Violent threats and Kayla, they are unprotected, weak. Time to band together, pool our strength to help the meek. Ready, everyone to fight, don't question formal still. Practice will preach soldiers, even outcasts learn to kill. No one's pure indeed, God's chosen, morally must strive. Let's do all we can so those in Kayla will survive. Justice will appear if we forge it here. Oh, hear me all you bound and broken.
So fun. Thank you so much for sharing those. And now is your time to tell us everything, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna do a little sermon. Is that
Yeah,
good? Okay.
absolutely.
All right. So this is about theater in general and the process we went through with Beloved King, and what we went through with Beloved King sort of coming to fruition or lack thereof right as COVID-19 started to be a thing. Harvard Square was eerie when I arrived at Oberon, the American Repertory Theater's second stage in Cambridge, Massachusetts. A warming spring day like this one would normally see students and tourists hanging out of bakeries and coffee shops. But the sidewalks were nearly empty, and the occasional person I did pass on my way to the stage door looked anxious to be out in public at all. I entered the familiar venue, sat in one of the elevated booths, and waited in the dark. One by one, the cast and crew made their entrance, washed and sanitized their hands, and awkwardly navigated the new and rapidly changing recommendations against hugging and standing too close to one another. The cast and crew of Beloved King, a queer Bible musical, warmed up and dressed, but instead of experiencing the electricity of hundreds of audience members reacting to their performances, the actors would be playing to lifeless clinical camera lenses. It was March 12th, 2020. Later that day, Broadway would shutter, and at the end of the week, Harvard would send all its students home to finish the spring semester online. One day earlier, the World Health Organization had declared the new coronavirus a pandemic, and one day later, the United States would declare a national emergency. The show had been sold out, but the theater and I decided the day before that we had to refund everybody's tickets. This plague, it suddenly seemed, was serious. But the cast and crew decided to go ahead and film the dress rehearsal, mostly so we would all have something to show for our weeks, months, or years of hard work. After we filmed the run-through, we all went home. None of us would set foot in another theater for a very, very long time. For many of us in the LGBTQ+ community, the indefinite loss of live theater was not only felt financially, professionally, and socially, it was also a spiritual loss, and I've even heard some say a religious loss. Even before I had the language for it, I've long felt that theater often functions as a form of spirituality or religion for the LGBTQ+ community. What spiritual and even religious means varies from person to person, but generally it seems to involve at least one and often some combination of the following: guidance and meaning making, a feeling of being a part of something greater than oneself, a feeling of connection and responsibility to a supportive and like-minded community, shared rituals and stories, and accountability in creating and following a code of morality. While theater is more naturally suited to some of these aspects than others, I've personally seen theater communities perform every single one of these roles for myself and for others throughout the course of my life. For folks in the LGBTQ+ constellation who feel a longing for the spiritual and who may not have felt welcome or interested in traditional religious spaces, for identity or other reasons, I have seen theater fill that void again and again. Theater and spirituality have been so interwoven for me that I finally accepted that they are not merely two separate threads in the tapestry of my life, but are two fibers that combine to make up a single central thread, one that Christian religious professionals might refer to as a call. Theater had been a passion of mine going back to high school, and more than that, the theater was a spiritual home for me when I desperately needed it. I was raised culturally Catholic, but practically secular. As I became an adolescent and realized that I was A, spiritual, and B, queer, my options for exploration of both of these identities seemed limited where I lived in Indiana. I wouldn't discover Unitarian Universalism, in which I am now a minister, until college. But as a teen, what I never found in church, I found in theater. The after-school clubs of like-minded nerds, the comfort of ritual as we huddled together playing theater games before opening night, the shared narrative canon of story and song, the deep discussions about morality and the meaning of life, the feeling of working together to create something that could communicate not only across the room, but across time and space as well. And personal support when the world seemed hopeless, which it often did for a queer Midwestern teenager in the 90s. My theater friends helped me find hope in the world that killed Matthew Shepard and told me repeatedly that some God hated me. They also helped me keep going and creating through the suffering and fear, to grieve and feel and then try to make myself and the world better than what it was. Now, as a minister, I call this pastoral care. The past year and a half, I've witnessed my theater communities, really almost 2 years now, I've witnessed my theater communities support one another emotionally and materially throughout the pandemic. We've raised funds for individuals who have lost family members, found housing and helped with moving costs for those who have become unhomed, and moved collective money as needed to aid the many, many artists who have been unable to work. I've also seen the Black Lives Matter protests of last summer shift many in the community's focus to demanding that powerful theatrical organizations take accountability for their history of racism and anti-Blackness and to take measurable action to change. All of this gives me hope for the future, but what does the future of theater and of worship look like? After all, the pandemic stopgap measures, virtual readings, virtual church, they're fine for a crisis. And in fact, there are some things to truly love about them. For instance, the fact that I can be here with all of you. But for many of us, the thing we long for in theater and church is that magic that happens when we look at humanness together in a room. Theater is transcendent, ritualistic, and both ephemeral and present. It is created in the moment by artists and observers, and it ceases to exist when the moment passes. Similar to mindfulness practices like meditation, live theater brings you into the moment and into connection in an immediate way that does not happen sitting on the sofa watching Netflix or Disney Plus, as wonderful as those things can be. In personal worship, I would argue it is similar. The being here nowness of theater, of worship, that magic that happens when you are in space together. Oscar Wilde once said, "I regard the theater as the greatest of all art forms, the most immediate way in which human beings can share with another the sense of what it is to be human." That is what I've missed, what I've longed so deeply for. Back in 2018, when I first conceived of Beloved King at Harvard Divinity School, I knew live theater was the ideal medium for me to reimagine the story of David and Jonathan as a gay love story for the modern world. For one thing, theater is gay. Musical theater is very gay. But also because of the senses of co-creation and sacredness that theater holds for the LGBTQ community, yes, but also in the long and varied history of theater and religion and story and art. Now we are at a place where we are beginning to come back together to experience that mythical joy of togetherness, of co-creating again. And we are also learning new ways of being together and co-creating. I'm dusting off an old aspect of both church and theater for this moment. Faith. Faith in humanity, faith in the future, faith that whatever happens, the show will go on. And when it does, may this experience of being apart, of isolation, of fear, our time in the wilderness, remind us of what is so important about togetherness. It is not networking or showing off a new outfit, but the power of presence, of the moment, of co-creation and witness of humanness. May we always, moving forward, remember the wonder of our power to create together. Amen. Blessed be.
Amen. Indeed. Thank you so much. I am so excited for live theater again, and pretty envious of the folks I've seen who've experienced it. Do you know anything for Beloved King in terms of performing it?
So what we're doing now, as I said, we were awarded a Live Arts Boston grant in 2020. And originally we were going to use that to do a full workshop of the show, but of course then that wasn't happening. So we actually hired an orchestrator to fully arrange the songs, a wonderful young orchestrator named Brandon Jackson, who took the things that I wrote on my guitar. I mean, if you heard the original demos of the songs, it's like me on a guitar in my bedroom in GarageBand, but the wonderful, fully arranged, fully produced songs that you just heard are thanks to Brandon. And we also recorded the EP because that was something we felt like we could safely and responsibly do during the pandemic. So I'm very proud of the EP. I'm very proud of the music video and the behind the scenes documentary that we also did over the past year and a half. And now that those are out, they just came out last November and December, we are going back and finishing to arrange the last 13 songs of the show. And as we're doing that, I'm going to start looking at options and seeking out partners to bring it to the stage. Not sure where yet, but I believe if anyone has any leads, let me know.
Awesome. Yeah. Can't wait.
It takes forever to make a musical. Like, never do it. It's the worst idea. Like, it takes years.
I can't even imagine. Yeah. But there, Jay shared the link in the chat for the YouTube of the first song, but from there, I'm sure you can find the rest. And
yeah. And if you want to go to just belovedkingmusical.com, gaybiblemusical.com also redirects. You can find a way to sign up for the mailing list. You can follow us on Instagram. I try to keep up on Instagram at Beloved King Musical is the name there. You can also sign up for my Patreon if you want to help support the progress. And also, we did a great release show. If you're interested in like the super, super biblical nerdiness of the songs, we did a release show at the Museum of Science in Boston last November, and it is streamed on their YouTube channel, and it is very nerdy. It gets into all the references and all the things that I did, and sort of some of the scholars that inspired some of the songs, and that I made a YouTube playlist that you can find, or I can send it to you or something. Yeah, sorry, that was not helpful. It exists. If you Google Beloved King Museum of Science, you should be able to find it.
Okay. Yeah, I think there'd probably be some of us into that. So thank you. And now we have a lot of wonderful wisdom to sit with as we meditate. And Valerie is going to lead us in that. Would you like a pretty picture to look at?
Sounds great.
Okay.
So I see some new faces here. I'm Valerie. I usually lead our time together of prayer or meditation, and meditation can be many things in many traditions. For us today, I will guide you into a time of contemplation. Sorry about the clock. Okay. And I'll ask you if you feel it's right to ponder a contemplative question. So at this time, I invite you to take a posture you can hold for the next few minutes comfortably. Something that's alert but relaxed together. Let's begin by closing our eyes and scanning down through the body, starting at the crown of the head, the brow, the eyes, the jaw, your lips, your throat, your neck, your shoulders, your chest, your upper arms, your upper back, your belly, the lower back, your seat, your upper legs, your lower arms, your hands, your knees, your lower legs, down to your feet. You don't need to change anything. Just check in and notice how your body is feeling in this present moment. I invite you now to rest your attention on your breath, not changing it, simply noticing its rhythm. Try to find the point in the breath that's easiest to track, that's most salient to you. It could be where the air enters your nose, mouth. It could be a rushing sensation in the throat, the rising and falling of your chest, or the expansion of your belly. Find that place in the breath to let your attention rest. You may find that your attention wanders from the breath, and that's normal. You might find you have a busy mind, or notice sensations arise in the body, or notice exhaustion catching up with you. Take a notice of this distraction and try to bring your attention back to the breath. Whenever your mind wanders, just label it thinking or feeling, then return your awareness to the breath. It will always be there for you. You're welcome to continue resting in this gentle awareness of the breath. Or if it feels right, I invite you to contemplate a question. I invite you to call to mind someone or some community with which your soul has been bound up. Where has your soul been bound up with the other? Could be a romantic relationship, a friendship, a family tie, or a community like the church, the forest, or the theater. Call to mind this soulful relationship. And now I invite you to ask this question with no expectation of a particular response or any response at all. How does this soulful relationship reflect your relation to the divine? How does this soulful relationship reflect your relationship to the divine? The answer may come in words, an image, a sensation, or continued quiet inside. Whatever response has or hasn't arisen, take a few more moments to hold this question in your heart. And whenever you're ready, let this question and its response fade away and come back, gently scanning the body or noticing the breath. If it feels right to you, I invite you to offer gratitude to yourself for making time to check in with your own heart, and to everyone sharing this experience today as a community and holding this sacred time and space together. And whenever you're ready, I invite you to slowly open your eyes.
Thank you so much, Valerie. what a great question for us to keep pondering. For this moment now, we want to take some time to share our gratitude. So in the chat, tell us, what are you particularly grateful for today? We are grateful collectively for the great gift of our earth and that it continues to provide everything we need. We're thankful. Well, I'm thankful for this community, that we might be bound up together with the divine in our midst, however we are able to gather and to share these incredible experiences. And I'm thankful for Jay joining us today and sharing that powerful message. So it's always nice to practice gratitude, but it's inspiring for others too, when you can share with the group as you feel led. I think it inspires the rest of us to increase in our gratitude as well. Definitely music. And I was a musical theater kid in high school, Jay, so you really just like brought it all back for me. I love it. And I know there's others in the group who were as well. So we give thanks, and we know that as we can share these wonderful things that we're grateful for and all the gifts of our earth, that we can do more good in the world together. And that's what we try to be about, which is what we're up to as Church in the Wild. So for this month, our main service project for the month is our stamp drive for the local inmates at the Broome County Jail. So we've gotten some in so far, and I know more are coming. If you're planning to be at any of our Sunday saunters, we meet at noon at the BU Nature Preserve. You can bring stamps there. You can mail them to us. We just got some in the mail, and they were a bunch of Christmas stamps, which I thought is so perfect because they're actually going to be used for Christmas cards, as Chris organizes that. So they probably thought, oh, it doesn't matter, and not knowing that they're actually going to be used for Christmas. So you can mail them in or send us some money on Venmo and we'll do the shopping for you. And we'll be supporting our local community garden, Vines, at their Garden Bowl fundraiser. So if you're planning to be at that, you can drop them off, and I can receive them for you and get them to Chris. Yeah, whatever's best, Valerie. I can pick them up wherever, whenever. So if I believe our teams are set, but if you're interested still, we can possibly make a third team. We have a kids team and an adult team. It's going to be lots of fun. So let me know if there's still interest. We have to register by the end of the week. And you can keep supporting what we do in the community as we support environmental and social justice in the Southern Tier and all over. You can donate on our website, and Valerie or Marcia might have that for us. Let's see. But it's on churchinthewild.org. Yeah, support. Perfect. And thank you, Jay, for, yes, I definitely want to watch the nerdy release show. I will be excited to check that out, as I'm sure others will too. As we sort of wrap up our time together, we also like to take a moment to set an intention for ourselves for the week ahead. So whether it's a word or a phrase or an image that you want to use this week to guide you, kind of like a mantra. that's helpful. Yes, thank you, Marcia. And I am thankful too to have Mandy here with us today for the first time. Lots of great folks. I'm a little slow in catching up with the chat as I talk through the slides here. But there's some great intentions for us from all this wisdom we heard today. Content, patience, Valerie, yes. Oh, practice, adventure, yes, yes, yes. I'm gonna hang on to trust, I think is gonna be my word, to just trust in the timing of all things, and that spring will come. But every week it's a little bit lighter outside of my window by the time we're wrapping up. So that should give us some great hope. Yes, listen. Good, good. Yeah, trust too. So we hope no matter what word you use or how you use it this week, that you will live intentionally. And you are welcome after our closing song to stick around and unmute and chat for some coffee talk time. I know there's something happening later, but we can chat for a few minutes after we sing ourselves out and after our blessing. So receive now this blessing. Feel free to join me in the embodiment of it, in the motions, or simply receive this blessing. Deep peace of running wave to you. Deep peace of flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the source of peace to you.
All right, it's time for our last song for worship today. Again, if you have an instrument hanging around, whether that's a shaker, your knees, or an instrument that you like to play in the key of C, feel free to join us for our final song, Peace, Salaam, Shalom.